Greetings to everyone out there across the globe, cherished listeners and viewers. You are welcome to Zoe Healing Streams. On the theme, let's talk about it. There are certain topics and issues in the society and even in the church that we find it difficult to talk about. But on this platform, we're going to delve into it, dissect it, and come out with some solutions so that we, the generation that we find ourselves now, and even our old generations will be able to come to that place where we merge together and do things God's way. So you are welcome to Let's Talk About It on Healing Streams. And I have with me in the studio one phenomenal woman. She's a gold mine, a buffet, and I call her my Saji twin. No other person than Colette Davidson, all the way from Nigeria. And how we met is divinely orchestrated. And I thank God for this day. I welcome her to the studio and I want her to give us a brief profile of herself. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's talk about it. Indeed, I am so privileged to be here today on your show. And it's a great opportunity. My name, like you said, Colette Davidson, that's my pen name. My full name is Chibundo Colette Mbamalu, and I'm proudly Nigerian. I'm a social expert, social advocate, gender advocate. I engage a whole lot in counseling, in trainings for young people, for women, and Kada Resources is actually the company that handle all that. That's my company. So because I studied along education and health, I have a whole lot of experiences and opportunities to express such expertise in the social sector. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here. Like I said, she's a good mind, a buffet. She has everything in one place. That is the gift that God has given unto us. So on that note, I want us to jump on board to our topic for discussion today. That is about the youth and society. Is the church losing the Gen Z? I call them the General Z to the fast-moving world. How do we bring them back on board and make them part of the society and the church? And also, we also want to look at peer pressure and faith. Some Gen Zs are veered off because we're not able to incorporate them in our value system and in our training and mentorship in the society and in the church. So we're going to have a discussion on this. Like I said before, we have a lady here to help us to unravel some of these and to get some solution out of it and get our youth out there some nuggets, and our mothers and fathers also to take some of these nuggets to help us bridge the gap. So my lady, could you help us find reasons why the Gen Zs of our time are disengaging from the church? And how do societal changes contribute to this very trend?
I really don't think the trend is the problem. I think our definition of the Gen Z is the problem. Our challenge is our ability to see what is different from us and embrace it. Normally, human beings are not very apt to change. They are not very receptive to changes. So they attack something that looks different from them. It is our job to embrace Gen Z because they are so different from what we used to know. Gen Z is a new era. Gen Z is a new breed of the same kind, but new. So I describe Gen Z as the letter Z, the end of the road. To the end of the road. That's it. So Gen Z is the last card of who we've always been all the while. So if we understand them that way, it will tailor the way we design programs for them. It will influence the way we see them. It will also influence the kind of messages we send out to them. If you were eating only rice all your years, that's a disease. That's it. So we cannot feed Gen Z what we ate. You feed them according to what they need. So we have not done need assessment. One of the reasons why we're fast losing Gen Z out of the church is because we still think that needs don't change. Before now, the ape man, the men of the old, didn't need shoes, didn't need slippers, right? And they walked so well. But right now, can you go on the road without shoes? Of course not. You see that? So what we're doing is we haven't changed our message. We haven't even changed how we pass it on. What needs to change, right, is conflicting with what doesn't need to change. That's the problem of the church. They don't know what to change and what needs not to be changed. So they are dishing what they know out there, and yet they are not catching the fishes. The fishes are living. You are serving a fish indomie. Is that what fishes eat? Fishes eat worm. So one of the jobs of any civil society, any a sector, social sector, whether it's family, especially family, our parents are feeding children what they knew. But if you feed your child what you knew and they come out to the real world and it's not applicable, they will throw it away. And they will find models who are feeding them what they need in the society of today. Has our society changed? Yes. Is it the same? No. So why are you feeding me what's happened in the society of yesteryears and you want it to operate, you want me to operate it in the current society? These are the challenges. So we would need to start by defining who is Gen Z and what is their functionality. What helps them function? How do they function? When we do not understand this, abuse is inevitable. We will abuse them. And that's why we're shutting them down. And that's why they're also flowing off. They're flying off families, flying off churches, flying off circles, flying off systems. And they have no apologies for doing that. What do you
Saying that, could you, I believe pretty well someone is listening, watching, and will be asking, so what's the definition of Gen Z and what's their functionality? Could you open up with that for us?
I wouldn't say I have a general
From your perspective.
or from my perspective.
Yes.
If we want to understand who a Gen Z is, it is first by observing them. When you observe them, Gen Z are not prone to systemized learning, systemized training. Anything systemized, anything status quo is not meant for a Gen Z because they are the energy of the noun. They operate life according to the noun. They believe in tangibility of life, not the words written in a book, not on laws written down, because the laws, when you bring them out of the books to the real life and it's not applicable, a Gen Z will fling it away. So they are not systemized kind of human beings. Therefore, any systemized form of training, of learning, or preaching, or message, or leadership, you are just with your own hands shooting yourself on the leg. It means that you don't want them, so they will leave. So to understand Gen Z in the easiest way is to know that the letter Z is the end game. They are the last shot. They are the a cumulative of the whole alphabet. Do you now understand? So it's like they carry the energy of A to Y and now Z. So Gen Z is like a force, a volcano. And you know what a volcano is? It's an overflow. So the earlier generations, they were the water in the pot. But Gen Z is the overflow. And when you have an overflow, you have high frequency, you have speed. That's why technology is serving them so well. You have a whole lot of diversity. That's why they are not restricted by tribe. They are not, they connect like wildfire. They don't question tribe. Oh, where's your tribe before we can connect and do stuff? They don't question your religion. They've thrown off all those status quo. You know, our normal status quo are the 5 agents of socialization, which come from our family, our religion, our education. A Gen Z can do business technology innovations, whether you are an illiterate or you are literate, they are moving. Elon Musk, some months back, mentioned online that he's looking for young people who have skills, whether you are an illiterate or not. He doesn't care. These are people who have understood this group. He said, come on board. So he wants to mine the gold in every young person. He doesn't care whether you went through a systemized education. You know what that means? When Elon said whether you're illiterate or not, he's indirectly saying whether you have been systematically programmed, trained by a school or by a church or by a home, any system, that's what he used the word illiterate or literate. He didn't want to use system so that he will not be attacking any system. But that's the message a Gen Z understands. So they are the movers of our time. One word for a Gen Z: volcano.
From your perspective or your experience, what do you think the church can do to resonate with the values and the communication system of the Gen Zs?
To resonate, you don't resonate with something you have not understood. Resonance is to tally. Resonance means to harmonize. You're in harmony. But the church is here and Gen Z is here. Or the church is going this way, slow, and Gen Z is going like this. So how do you harmonize? So it's not the Gen Z's job to harmonize with the church. It is the church to harmonize with Gen Z. If Gen Z is that important to them, because Gen Z does not need church. Remember, they're a moving train. So if the church needs to capture Gen Z, they have to come up to the pace to harmonize with the Gen Z. How do you do that? Find out who they are, what are their strengths, what are their opportunities, create those opportunities. What are their weaknesses? Create them. Find out and feed their weak points, feed their strength, feed every single thing you find in that Gen Z. You don't attack. If you attack, it moves away. In fact, if you attack, it may not even move away. Sometimes it crushes, goes the other way, because energy has to be manifested. Energy has to be expressed. So what betide you if you're a body, a church, and you come to attack Gen Z? It may go the other way and hit you. So it's the church's job to align with Gen Z. But you cannot allow with something you have not understood. You will abuse it. That's the problem. Now, one of the ways to do that alignment is what technology is doing. Technology is not a destination. Technology is a means to a destination. So the church is a means to a destination. Can the church align and do exactly what technology is doing? How many churches are doing that? How many churches have become a device to amplify talents? That's what technology is doing. How many churches have become a device to define networks, to open up doors, global doors, not just in country, not just local doors, not just doors that are denominational or religious. No, because technology is going beyond religion, going beyond family business, is going global. Is the church going global? If the church is not going global, you're going to lose the young people. The Gen Z is not tailored to follow a law, and the church is tailored to follow laws. That's doctrines. So if the church, I'm giving an instance. So if the church wants to integrate Gen Z into doctrines, you will lose them. But you can show different things that doctrines can do for you, and the Gen Z will come. Do you not understand it? So because Gen Z is moved by practicality. Remember, it's a boiling water. It's not looking at books to walk. That's what the older generations do. They look at the book and they run. No, Gen Z is the book. We understand that now. So it's not like they are not a stubborn generation like our parents or pastors used to describe them. They are not a hard or harsh generation. No. When we use negative terms to define a thing, it's a shadow to give you an understanding or a third party understanding that this person has not understood this factor, this product. Because there is a bad side to a product and there's a good side. So what good side have the church seen in the Gen Z? Are we just settling for only the negatives? Oh, they are not listening. Oh, they are not this. Oh, they are stubborn. Oh, they are hard. Oh, they are losing out. Oh, they don't have respect. That's destructive criticism. The church needs to be constructive in their criticism.
So then we say then that the leadership of the church or the church as a whole, including society, family, has failed in identifying the real identity of these Gen Zs
Exactly.
and finding ways and means to embrace. It's a gift. Embrace this gift that God has given us.
Exactly. It is the job of the church, of the society, all the social sectors. It is the job of the teachers. When I taught as a teacher, my class was the best. And I taught in very wealthy children's school, And I mean, ministers, senators, that's where their children schooled. And my class was the best. How did I find out? Because in my class, you don't find anyone making noise. And I didn't need to tell them, don't make noise. You don't find people backing me, backing the blackboard when I'm there. No. And I didn't have to instruct. That's why I said the message is in them. But you see, they have their threats, they have their weaknesses. You don't go attacking the weakness. The weakness is distraction, one of it. Yes. The weakness also is a lack of concentration. That's still distraction. So every single thing that a young person has as a weakness, there is a way to feed it. There's a way to handle it. Before now, you use punishment to handle a young person. But now use punishment, they drift away. Why? The society or the evolution of the noun has provided finances, means of finances for the young person so they can make money without you. Provided means of living. They have more friends now who have made money ahead of them and they know they have cliques. And housing is not that hard anymore, per se, because you can now have a cabin and all of you are living there. But before now, if your parents find you in the house for one day, you have to explain where you are. You won't even try it because there's no gathering places where people, where your clique, or friends are gathering and living together. So we need to understand what technology is doing and do the same. If the church understand it, if the family understand it, this is like ABCD in my eyes. Each time I talk to young people, what technology is doing is empowering the mind, is empowering the hand. It is not empowering the heart. That's one of the niche, the family, or every other social sector should actually hijack the heart. Because why I said that is because the owners of the technology will fuel their own values, fuel their narratives, which are the things that will form the heart. So if no one is doing that job, the owners of the technology, the big wigs, the big guys who own technology, who want to call the shots, not just mentally or skills wise, they want to call shots of value systems, of what the media will sell out. They want to call shots of the lifestyle of the next generation. If nobody is handling that aspect, they will take over. And they're taking over already. They're doing that using technology.
That's a great move there.
Yes.
When we look in the book of Daniel chapters 1 and 3, we see how the 3 Hebrew boys refused to be fed with the king's delicacies. They said no, they won't take anything from the king's table, although their names were changed. And the Hebrew names have a meaning, like we have in most African settings. Every name comes with a meaning. Their names were changed from a name connected to God to a name connected to a lesser God. But even that, Bible makers understand that they said, no, we don't want to be fed with the king's delicacies. Out of this number of youth that were in exile, just 4 said, no, we'll not move with this peer pressure. We'll not be pressurized to do this. And this era of our Gen Zs, peer pressure versus faith is something that it
Again,
with technology, it's really fighting itself. Do you think we have um, a system that can help bridge this gap whereby peer pressure cannot override faith in terms of faith in church, in the word of God, faith in the societal upbringing, in the past, the traditional way of bringing us up. Do we have what it takes to be able to keep these Gen Zs in? And just like the Hebrew boys will say that we know by tradition we can survive and we can be the best, we can come out excellent without being adulterated with certain values outside the confines of church or society. You think we can get it? Is there a bridge that can be crossed over?
Yes, of course. There's always a crossing because nothing remains the same. There's always a way out. It always seems impossible until someone does it, right? The focus, I believe, is we understanding that identity is key to functionality. When the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is constant. It will happen. So if we have not understood identity for a young person, that's why they go out there and every way is a way. That's the peer pressure. Peer pressure is that pressure comes from here, and then you are pushed around, tossed around by every wind of the streets, every wind of the media, that's every wind of the doctrines, the things that happen there, the things that they call realities, lifestyle, trends. If I don't know that I'm a cop, you know what I'll do? I'll follow shoes and stay in the leg. And you know what happen? I'll either break, I'll not be sizing the legs because I'm not in the shape of the leg. That's what's happening to young people. That's what peer pressure does. So you remain a misfit in everywhere you find yourself without proper identity. Identification is your ability to be authentic. It's your only power to authenticity. It's your only power to contribution. Because as a cop, I can contribute and keep myself, and you pour water inside me or pour juice like your juice is. But yes, it's your power of contribution, and I can be carried like you're carrying me now. You see, that's my contribution. I have access to your lips as a cop. You see that? But if I go and become shoes, I will not have access to your lips. So you see, it's power. Authenticity is your power to contribution. It's your power to access. It's access. Yes. So a whole lot of young persons lose their grounds, lose their war, lose their goals, lose direction because identity is a problem. And that's where the other social systems, aside the church, come into play. So our understanding of a young person, like I said, is the last game, the last card, like the judgment of the past. That's what we have on ground. Understanding that will make us give them who they are, not necessarily giving them saying, oh, you are this. No, it's to get them their eyes to look inward and not look on the outside because the kingdom is in. Now, the job of parenting is not to spoon feed. It's not to call the shots for a young person, especially for a Gen Z. You don't call shots for a Gen Z. No, you must be able to have options, alternatives, place the cards in different places and let them make their choices. That's how authenticity is developed. That's how identity is developed. It comes from the ability to make decisions and believe and take blames, take, bear the consequences of every outcome. That's where authenticity comes. But if it comes from a written down laws, when it fails, they come back from war. They will refer to the book. Is this book? They won't point themselves. And the moment you keep pointing somewhere, you know what you're doing? You're releasing your power to it, not to you. So blames is actually release of energy, is release of power, is release of strength, is a release of contribution. So the book is what is supposed to contribute, not you. You see how we remove ourselves. It happens to adults too. But for a Gen Z, if you want them to be able to combat peer pressure, then even the institutions must know their job. The church, the education system, the schools, the family must know their job. That their job is not to do a photocopy of themselves. Their job is to make sure that the original realizes their originality. That's realizing your authenticity. That's their job. If you fail there, you have failed the Gen Z, you have failed the young person, you have failed the child. Because a child is not a dogma. And what most systems have is dogmas. Dogma is what? Systemized way. That's status quo, status. It has to be this way. It is this way or the highway.
Oh, that's wow. That brings us to Genesis chapter 3, where Adam was, it is not me, it's the woman you gave to me. It's a blame game.
It's a blame.
And so at that moment, Adam has passed on his power to the woman.
Thank you, my sister.
And the woman passed it on to the serpent.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a baton being released onto the other. So I really get a lesson here that it's really pays to be accountable and be responsible. So as a Gen Z, it means that you must be able to take responsibility for your actions and the decisions that you make. Be accountable, not passing it on to others. You know you didn't do it right. Say to yourself, I didn't do well. I'll do better next time.
Exactly.
You're a Gen Z out there. That's a word for you.
That's a word for you. Thank you.
Yeah, my lady, I want to ask, how can the church collaborate with community organizations to address peer pressure, social issues that matters to the Gen Z in this fast-moving world of ours?
Yes, I understand your question. The having understood who Gen Z is will give the church or every other social sector an idea of how to be the savior to the Gen Z, come in between them and their chaos and their crisis, their problems, their challenges, their fears. Every Gen Z has a fear. Every Gen Z has something, their goals, they have their goals. They have a view of themselves. So having understood who a Gen Z is, one of the ways to help them combat or minimize their exposure to dangers, to social concerns, social crisis, maybe peer pressure or identity crisis, or maybe unemployment. Every single thing that grooms them into real adulthood. One of the ways the church can come in is through mentorship. Mentorship is one of them. But you see, the system of mentorship by the church doesn't have to be the same way mentorship happened yesteryears. Many years ago, mentorship was you sit down there, you just copy what the head is doing, right? In fact, sometimes the head will tell you, follow what I say, don't follow what I do. You see, that's mentorship. That cannot work for a Gen Z. A Gen Z is driven by example. And if you are not an example, they take you out. That is why they do not believe that my parents must be my role model. My pastor must be my role model. They don't believe that. They know who their role model is.
They need to search out.
Yes, they search you out. And in searching you out is to watch you to know whether you are your words. If you are not your words, a Gen Z is not afraid to take you out and say you are not my role model.
Oh, wow.
So what we need in one of the videos I've done, I said what the Gen Z needs is role models, not rogue models. So rogue means someone who is unreal, who is a thief. A thief means you are saying one thing, or a liar, you're saying one thing, but you're doing another. You are taking what is not you and you are showing off another. You are camouflaging. That's it. A Gen Z will not follow you or tell followership. You want to command followership from a Gen Z. You must live by example. That's not to say that they don't know that human beings have errors, have weaknesses. No. A Gen Z is the type that you must learn how to say, oh, I'm sorry. I said this, but I'm doing this. You must say, I'm sorry. And you must say, oh, explain why you did what you did. And it has to make sense. Not that you did it, who gave you the right to ask me questions. No, a Gen Z will question you. The leadership of the church today does not encourage questioning.
Whoa.
Yes.
So in this society that we were all brought up,
Yeah.
do you think it's
It's question
easy
to question? That's why we're
to actually say, our mothers, our fathers, I know my mother did this wrong. My father didn't do this right. But in society standards and norms, I am not expected to tell my mom that you are wrong. And my mom cannot tell me sorry. So we all grow up with it.
That's why you are the old generation. You are not Gen Z.
You mean I'm phased away? I'm phased
No,
away.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You just have to. Oh, wow. You just have to understand who a Gen Z is. Then it will shape your parenting. You will not train a Gen Z the way you were trained because you two are not living in the same society. You are not living in the same realities. You are not expressing the same energies. A Gen Z needs to question what he was taught before he can assimilate. The older generation does not need to question, they only swallow. And it is that swallowing and swallowing and swallowing that made a whole lot of them are now regretful in their older age. So one of my books, I said that the groans of the young is the lament of the old. The things that was paining the young person that he couldn't voice, he couldn't question, became a lamentation by the time they are old. It's a sad story. It's a sad society. So I need and I always accord every social circle I come into to embrace Gen Z. They are actually the saviors of our time, but we need to understand who they are so we don't fight them. They are our allies. They are not enemies. They are not stubborn people. They are just a people bolder than we are.
So Gen Z is all about reality and being truthful.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You just said it. Truthfulness, meaning that you are accountable for your actions. Meaning that if you want me to be your example, these are not what the kingdom we seek. The kingdom of what? Righteousness, peace,
and love.
Thank you. That's who the Gen Z is. The Gen Z is the kingdom. I repeat.
Practical.
Is the kingdom in practice, the kingdom on two legs. And the same kingdom is what the Pharisees and the Sadducees want to fight. That's the church system. The Pharisees, the Sadducees are systems. They are systemized learning, systemized schooling, systemized preaching, systemized messages, systemized leadership. And then the kingdom shows up, the same kingdom you've been preaching about shows up on two legs, and you're fighting it. And you're losing the same kingdom. No, something is wrong with your system, not the kingdom.
Something is wrong with your system and not the kingdom. Thy kingdom come. And when we ask thy kingdom come and the kingdom comes, we are running from the kingdom.
We're not ready to accept the kingdom. That's it. So, because the kingdom comes with a whole lot of changes, questioning the status quo, saying,
and change is painful.
Yes, human beings don't embrace changes. When they say that the Sabbath is made for the man, but in the system, the man is made for Sabbath. That's not true. Jesus said the Sabbath is for the man. The Sabbath is the tool for the man to use, is to benefit the man. The man is not a servant to the Sabbath. The Gen Z is a representation of that. The Sabbath is for them. Technology is for them. Church is for them, for the man, not the other way. We practice the other way. So we felt like slaves. We felt useless. So you come out from church, you feel of anointing, but nothing to show.
Yep.
You are just a slave. You're just following order, following rules, not practicality, not real life.
So that brings us to faith and peer pressure again.
Thank you.
Bible tells us that faith without works is dead. So then we have to, when we try to connect this to the Gen Z, it means that they are the practicality of faith.
The practicality. Show me your what?
Your what?
Thank you.
They want to ensure that what they see, what they believe, they work with it, they move with it.
We move. That's it.
That's amazing, you know.
So you don't bring books to talk to a Gen Z. You bring life, kingdom, life. Example. It's the same thing we're talking about. That's the only pressure that a Gen Z understands.
Have you ever found yourself in peer pressure, conflicted with certain things that you needed to move with some group of young ones or teenagers when you were growing up? Were you able to detach yourself, or were you in a space where you couldn't even say no and you have to follow what they were doing? How was it like? Were you able to fight it, or
I don't think I'm a victim. I was the villain. That's it.
oh wow.
Yes. I was the villain. Villain not because I was attacking people's values or I wanted them to follow my way. No. Villain in the sense that I was the authority of my life. Not because I didn't have parents.
But now I know why you are my Sagittarius twin.
Yes. I was driven more by life, more by me being the life, more by nature. So I spent so much time looking at the sun, looking at the moon, looking at green animals and all that. So those were my teachers. Those were things I learned from. And I found out that a whole lot of them represent God, divinity. And if you check in Romans 1 verse 20, we said that for the things that are seen are a representation that there is divine. Yes. So the things that we see is the observation that gave me that level of identity that I am divine. So when it comes to peer pressure, you don't push a God about. You don't push power about. No. So I became the head girl in my school, as a teenager, my secondary school. And I remember standing against my mates for the younger generation, the younger classes. You cannot be in SS3 and not work with your fellow SS3 mates because they will fight you. I was against all of them, and they saw me that I was standing against them. I was one against all. And guess what? All of them bowed because I was more of a balance. I believe in balance. I believe in harmonizing. That you are senior doesn't mean you humiliate this one, and then you are here. It doesn't mean you cannot give honor to this. So you see, I understood that as a young person. So I don't believe in subjection. No. I don't believe in bringing one down and putting the other one up. No. So that influenced my decisions in life, and peer pressure cannot work with people like me. In fact, when my mates they tagged me, gave me a lot of name tags. Yeah, I had
And one of them is
oh my goodness. They said I was too Jew. I was too Dundee. Yes, because to them I wasn't streetwise. Streetwise in the sense that I didn't go to parties. I didn't have to roll with the big guys like they were doing. But when I did that myself. I didn't need them. I didn't even go there with them. I went on my own. And so intentional living was something I built as a young person, as a teenager.
intentionality.
Yes, intentionality. When a teenager comes to their real identity, authenticity, it is their power to live, their power to contribute, their power to have access, their power to the lifestyle they desire, authenticity. That's the cure to peer pressure.
Jesus said, "Who do men say that I am?" It's all about identity.
That's it.
Scripture says that, and God said, "Let us create man in our own image." So you carry the DNA of God, divinity in you.
So you can't be tossed around.
So you can't be tossed around. You call the shot.
So that's why I said the Gen Z is the kingdom. You don't toss kingdom around.
For too long, we have been in the dark. And God has raised this army who knows their worth and their identity. Just that sometimes they don't get the right tools and the right people to nurture them.
Yes, exactly.
What initiatives do you think that society, organizations, the church, in terms of opportunities, can create for the Gen Zs to be able to navigate life, for those who are not making it and those who are struggling, although they know who they are, but they still need the light to usher them into places?
Okay, like I said, technology is one way that any social sector can use to maximize and apply Gen Zs into the right way, or the peaceful and satisfying way of living. Technology has in its counseling. You find counseling in technology. You find schooling in technology. You find business in technology. You find network in technology. You find wellness, health. You find what else? What's not inside technology? Tell me.
It's all in one.
It's in one. So if we can maximize technology, let me ask you, what stops a church from designing counseling techniques or counseling messages with technology? Must a Gen Z come and meet you face to face to get counsel
And sometimes pay for it.
and pay for it? Do they? No. Must a Gen Z come to church and sit down for hours? Can't the church have an app where you log in and you know the message per time? So you see, choice is key. You must give the Gen Z choices. If it becomes a one way, you will lose them. Why? They have attention problem. So create enough pathways to get the same thing done.
So the Gen Zs more or less move with time and speed.
Speed. And if speed is your movement, speed is not direction. That's what the church and the social sectors, the families, parenting, all these children or these teenagers, give them direction. It's when speed has direction that you have what outcomes. Or you can be speeding, and there's nothing to show. So we're meant to maximize that word, speed, energy, and put it into productivity. Productivity is still finding out in the Gen Z's speed and energy. What are their skills? What access do they need? What funds do they need? What education do they need? What partnership do they need? I have a friend in Nigeria. He's a young person, very young, and he's made the CEO of a company and gets people on the board. Old men. What are they doing? He told me they want to maximize my energy. You see? Tell me how that particular guy will be tossed around by peer pressure.
No one.
He will not. He's the CEO. He's the face of the company.
Do you think the church, in one way or the other, has failed the Gen Zs? Practically, what I want to talk about, prophecies about traveling. It's something that has taken over the church setting. The young ones are all moving out of the country.
Brain drain.
They all want to run out of the country because the prophecy has come that they have to travel. And that is what they can think about. Do you think the church has failed in one way or the other with those prophetic messages of traveling instead of helping these Gen Zs to unravel, to unearth their talent, their skills, even within their community and in the society, in the nation, and bring out something that they can connect to other parts of the world? You think the church has failed us in that aspect?
Well, the church can only give what they have. If you call it failure, fine, but they're only giving what they have. In my view, they failed woefully. But would you blame someone outside their knowledge? No. It's their knowledge you will blame, not necessarily them. So what the church knows is what the church offered. So the call or the job of the church now is to change their knowing, change their knowledge, change their orientation, and the outcomes will change. What they are offering will change. So preaching, travels, prophecy, that's like using prophecy to accommodate the realities on ground. Because okay, you know that the issue on ground is joblessness, there are no jobs around, there's no money around. So your prophecy is now designed to feed any means of getting money or getting jobs, which is escape. And we are forgetting the downsides of it. In Nigeria, it's called Japa syndrome. So you forget the downsides of Japa, that there's brain drain, that there's loss of identity. You're not even proud of your country, that there's loss of patriotism, that you are increasing even the burden for another country. So you are creating more refugees. You are also creating disconnection from family. You are creating a disconnect from them and their immediate communities, the support and the contribution they would have given. Now, Trump is exporting most of them, throwing them out. These are people who went there by prophecy, some of them. So when they come back, prophecy has failed, right? Or has ended. So what's the way forward? So part of the things that church contributed to is the prophecy, like you said. Very right. So if we can find other ways to accommodate our realities, I think we'll do a good job, a better job.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And that's a very good one there, talking about peer pressure versus faith and how we'll be able to rope in the Gen Zs in this fast moving world, making sure that we come to the same place where society, the Gen Z, the church can come together and be productive, and to the glory of God, that whatever God has instilled in us, we will be able to project it for all nations to see that indeed
The
we
kingdom
were
has
created in the image of God. Thank you so much,
Kingdom has come.
my lady. The kingdom has come and the kingdom is here.
Yeah.
We just need to embrace it. And I'm so happy that you were able to make it.
My pleasure.
Hope to get you next time around at that short notice.
I'm very much available for you. I love
So,
what you're doing.
Colette Davidson have a book with the title We Move. Do go on the net, connect to her, and get some of the books and read it. You will be empowered.
Thank you.
Same time, next time, it's a ciao from me, Pastor Frederica. God richly bless you. And I pray for anyone who is battling with decision making. You are uncertain. You don't have clarity about what to do as a Gen Z, as a young one. You find yourself troubled. I pray for you that the Lord give you clarity. You are out there, you are thinking of suicide because your friends have gone ahead of you. Remember that the 11th hour, Jesus said, those that even join at the 11th hour will take the same pay of those that came first. So God can move you from the back to the front. You don't need to be in a haste. You don't need to take your life. God has so much embedded in your belly. The world is waiting to partake in that. So don't throw yourself away. I pray that the Lord touch your heart and stop yourself from taking your life. You are a good man. You can do more. So let the Lord lead you and show you the way to go. Don't listen to those voices. Don't look at those people who have gone ahead of you. You are a generation and you carry nations in your belly. The Lord help you and the Lord sustain you. The Lord heal you and provide for you. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Till next time, it will be the Zoe Healing Streams. Let's talk about it. God bless you.